After a decade together, I stand before you today with a heart full of love and gratitude. Today I choose you and promise to be your partner in all that life brings. I vow to support and celebrate every dream and to stand by your side through the joy and challenges we face. I will love you with my whole heart, not just for the person you are today, but for the person you will become. I will cherish the moments we share and create a lifetime of memories filled with love and laughter. With you, I have found my home and my happiness. My heart belongs to you now and forever. I am endlessly grateful to live life with you.
Michael, to be standing here with you today is a dream come true. I'm not gonna lie, I've thought about it for a long time. We have grown a lot together these past 10 years and have learned so much along the way. I knew you were the one for me from the start, but seeing how you cared for me during the hard times, like my surgery, and throughout college just solidified my feelings for you. I promise to love and take care of you, no matter what life throws at us. I feel so lucky to have you. You have made me a better person. I didn't think I was gonna cry. Okay. You have shown me that love, true love does exist. When this life is over, I pray it ends next to you. And then I just picked a reading to this. It's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. I love you.
Love you too.
Also, I would like to thank these three families, the Lloyds, the Myers, and the Franklins. We couldn't have pulled any of this off without you. all the hard work you put in. We really appreciate it. So I've kind of thought about this for a long time. I've had a lot of sleepless nights thinking about what I wanted to say. I was like, should I write it down? And I was like, well, could you say it right from the heart? Because I think from the heart's better. So I don't want to be too long with this. I think there's one story that defines these two both at the same time. And when they were in high school, their senior year, after Presley's volleyball season, she had to have some major surgery, back surgery. And Michael wanted to go up and see her. So he rode up with me, and she was in Children's Hospital up in D.C. And Tammy had spent the last couple nights up there with her, and I think she had to leave for just to get some rest. And so I was taking care of Presley, and Michael was kind of in the wings, standing by. And like usual, when I sit down in a chair, you know what happens. I end up taking a nap. And hey. So I woke up, and when I woke up, Michael was over there taking care of Presley, and I was just like in awe. And I thought about, for somebody that age to step in like that and take care of her, a lot of kids that age couldn't handle it and wouldn't want to even be there. And that said a lot about them right then and there. So the bond between those two was set way back then. And they've been together for about 10 years. And so today, I mean, giving her away, it was you know, sad and happy, but it's like they've been married for 10 years anyway. And that bond has just grown stronger as they've gone on and moved on in life. And to have him as a son-in-law, I couldn't ask for anything better, because I know he's going to take care of her. And the two of them together are strong, and they're going to make it, and I know it. Last thing I wanted to say, you know, my grandmother, I remember talking to her one time, and she told me, she goes, you know, one day you'll look back on it and you'll wonder how you got through it all. And the last thing she said was, it's a great life as long as you don't weaken. So let's raise a glass to Presley and Michael. Many more years. Cheers to you guys. Love you all. Love you both.
I just want to start out by saying thank you to the Mayhans, the Myers, and our parents for the rehearsal dinner yesterday and setting up this beautiful wedding today. Would y'all please put a huge round of applause together for them, because I know this was a lot of work for everyone involved.
Being Mike's twin and Sean being so close in age to us, we knew this best man speech was coming eventually. So being the proactive individuals we are, we had a pretty hectic night last night figuring out what we were going to say. I want to first start out by saying that Mike, Sean, and I want to say what an honor it is to be by with you on your special day, and we feel very grateful to be celebrating with everybody. You've always been a great brother, loyal, smart, handsome, and someone we look up to. Presley, you look beautiful tonight. You've always been a kind, compassionate, patient, and someone my brother loves dearly, and we look forward to you being part of our family. So this is the first best man speech I've given, Sean included. And so what I had to do is go on ChatGPT and figure out what I was going to say. And the first piece of advice it said was to never mention an ex-girlfriend. But lucky for us, Mike never had any game besides pulling Presley, so we don't got to worry about that one. Growing up with a twin and 5 brothers, a common question I would get asked is, do I want a sister? My answer every time was, I got Mike and that's close enough. But growing up a twin, it's great. You got a built-in best friend, someone you get to play sports with, fight with, argue with, all the good things. But when I first met this dude, I didn't really like him. He was always crowding my space, kicking me, taking up all my nutrients. But once we busted out into the world, it was smooth sailing. A common question we always got asked is, can we read each other's minds? Are we telepathic? And I'm sure everyone says no, but the truth is, we can. For example, we played baseball, I pitched, I'd be walking a bunch of dudes, Mike look at me at third base, you wouldn't want to hear what he was saying to me. And if you don't believe it, Mike, give me a good look in the eyes, let me see what you're thinking. Man, he's saying this speech is going great. All right,
Since I didn't get to give a best man speech at Matt's wedding last year, I'll try to make it up for it. Growing up, many people thought me, Mike, and Matt were all triplets. And I think even to this day, my grandma over here thinks we're triplets. I mean, she tells everybody. Growing up with both Mike and Matt and playing on the same team, it was a difficult time telling us apart. Really only telling us apart from our numbers. Growing up, I always knew Mike looked up to me since he copied me by throwing righting and hitting lefty, which isn't common for people, but I can't blame him for wanting to be like me. Mike and I always had a different relationship compared to him and Matt since I was a little older and wasn't his twin. Since me and Mike were more of the hitters between us three, I always enjoyed training with Mike and competing against him. Mike made me a better ball player, and I believe I made him a better ball player. From a young age, Mike's always had a strong work ethic. I knew he would always have a great baseball career and anything else he would pursue. People used to ask me if I was jealous when Mike won ODAC Player of the Year in 2019, and I have to say, I was probably the happiest person for him because I knew how hard he worked and how much he deserved it. It did make me work harder before the 2020 season because I was coming for the ODAC Player of the Year. But luckily for him, our season got canceled after a few games to COVID. I couldn't be more proud of the man Mike has become and how hard of a worker he is. Mike really inspires me to be better in everything I do, and couldn't be more thankful for him, even though he'll always be my little brother. All right. Someone suggested to include audience participation. So Presley, put your hand on the table. Mike, put your hand on top. Don't they look lovely, everybody? Mike, you better enjoy this moment. This is the last time you'll ever have the upper hand on Presley. Presley, I want to officially welcome you to the Nichols family. We're a lot to keep up with if you haven't noticed. I want to give you props for dealing with Mike every single day and not getting tired of him, since I know how hard-headed he can be. Presley, I've always enjoyed your company and how much fun you bring to our group. I think you're the perfect girl for Mike, and he should realize how lucky he is to have you as his wife. Again, Presley, welcome to the Nichols family.
You gotta tell that story.
All right, so I have a little story here. Many of you might remember the fierce rivalry between Mike and Matt on the baseball field. Matt had an uncanny ability to strike out Mike time and time and time again. It was a bit of a running joke among us, especially since Mike would sometimes joke about feeling a little bit sick from constant strikeouts. But the story doesn't end there. There was a particularly memorable game during our senior year spring. Matt was on the mound and Mike was up to bat. I think the wind was blowing out to right field about 40 or 50 miles an hour. If you don't know baseball, that's a lot. Against all odds, Mike managed to hit a home run off Matt. I remember the excitement in Mike's voice as he talked about it. He couldn't stop reliving that moment, proudly recounting how it was the best day ever, besides marrying Presley. For weeks, Mike was all smiles and stories about that home run, basking in the glory of that one shining achievement. To this day, Mike still brings this up to Matt when they're arguing.
And while that home run was certainly a significant accomplishment for Mike, I have to say it has been outshined here today. You see, he has achieved a new pinnacle in his life by getting or convincing Presley to spend the rest of her life with him. So let's do a toast for the lovely bride and groom. To my dear friends, Mike and Presley, may your marriage be like a great book, full of new adventures, wonderful surprises, and endless joy. Wishing you a lifetime of love and laughter.
One thing always remained the same, which was standing side by side as each other's maid of honor. And today, that dream came true.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lexi. Presley is my best friend and now sister-in-law, and I have known both Presley and Michael since high school. I just want to start by saying I'm so excited for this weekend and that it's finally here. It was well worth the wait. From teenagers to young adults, it's been so fun to see your relationship evolve, and I'm so grateful that you allowed me to be a part of it.
Presley's and I's friendship originally started, some would say it was forced. You see, it just so happens that our brothers, Matt and Dustin, are best friends. They did everything together. They went to parties, they played video games, and then there was us. For those that don't know, they also played years of travel soccer, and that commitment is practice after practice and also games every weekend. Naturally, this meant Presley and I had no choice but to be dragged to these events as well. However, we grew up enjoying it because we always knew our best friend was waiting on the other side.
So my friendship with Presley was also preordained by family connections, and while my brother and her brother were not inseparable companions, our now husbands are twins, and yes, they are inseparable. Presley and Michael started dating around the same time as me and Matt, our junior year of high school. I remember meeting them, and our friendship just came naturally. I immediately realized Presley and I would be lifelong friends. Dating twins meant that we spent a lot of time together, from high school dances to double dates at Benny's Pizzeria in downtown Fredericksburg. We always had a great time together. I can recall a few times in high school where Matt and Michael would try to impersonate each other to trick me or Presley, but despite their best efforts, we never fell for it.
One of my favorite memories of Presley growing up was one of our first sleepovers. We had begged our parents to let this happen. We even had a choreographed presentation. Thank you, Tammy. We finally convinced them it was a good idea, and the sleepover was full of stories and laughs. But just before we were going to bed, we thought it was a good idea to make some brownies. Well, to make a long story short, the brownies never made it into the oven. Presley ate all the batter and realized she needed to go home. So before 9 o'clock, Presley was driven home by my dad. And we also didn't have the sleepover of our dreams. Michael, for your sake, I hope she learned to put the batter in the oven. After high school, it was very tough to think about leaving my best friend behind. I am a year older than Presley, so I left for college, and she stayed to finish her high school career. Despite the tears, I looked forward to the opportunity that she would get to come visit me. When the weekend finally arrived, I had everything planned. Nothing but PG activities. You're welcome, Mom. I had studying, going to the library, doing some homework, everything that would make Tammy and Sue proud. Well, somehow, despite our best efforts, that failed, and those plans changed drastically, and we ended up partying until the wee morning hours, and then it became Sunday afternoon very quickly. Well, we noticed that morning that Presley's car was not where we parked it because I may have forgotten to give her the visitor's pass. So Sunday afternoon when she needed to go home, we had no car. So it turned out that we needed to go to the impound lot to pick out her car. And I was having a mental breakdown, but Presley remained calm, like she always does. And she was cheerful, and we finally retrieved her car, and it's a memory we will laugh about one day.
I also have a really quick story I wanted to share about both Presley and Michael. After college, a group of us celebrated with a trip to Florida. We were staying at a house on a canal, and one evening, I emphasize evening, Michael and one of his close friends, Daniel, decided to go out on the kayaks. Presley and I, along with the rest of the group, we decided to stay back at the house. After a couple hours, we realized it was getting dark and there was still no sign of Michael or Daniel. Everyone was starting to get really worried. That was everyone except Presley. She insisted they were just lost. They would be home soon enough. I remember thinking, how can you be so calm about this? But sure enough, they did eventually arrive back at the rental house, safe and sound, but only after a search and rescue helicopter located them in the canal. So my lesson from that experience was that Presley possessed an unremarkable faith in Michael. Michael and Presley, it's easy to see all the ways in which you complement each other. Presley, you are not only level-headed, but smart, kind, and an amazing friend. I couldn't be more honored to now call you my sister. Michael, thank you for loving Presley the way that she deserves. I hope you both know that I will always be here for you, and I wish you both nothing but a lifetime of happiness.
So now, as we wrap things up, we wanted to pass along some advice. As many of you are probably wondering, I am not married, so how do you think I'm going to pass along advice? Well, you're right, but I am going to tell you what I believe. Michael and Presley, congratulations. You are now co-captains, which means you do everything together. You have entered a new chapter in this wonderful story that we call life. Be kind, be transparent, communicate with respect, and remember you are first and always friends. So always keep each other laughing and smiling. Tell jokes, make mistakes, bring the joy to your partner that they do to you. After all, laughter is key to the heart. You both have so many things to learn and grow from, so lean on the people in this room. If you ever are in need of anything, I'm always here. And finally, this is to you, Michael. I've known Presley for 25 years. There is one thing I know for sure. Never mess with her pizza or her glizzies. Those are sacred territory.
So in conclusion, we would like to invite everyone to raise a glass and help us celebrate Presley and Michael Nichols. Here's to a long, happy, and healthy marriage.
With you, my world is complete, and I promise to love you more deeply every day.